Tithing to TLC, easily one of the most disturbing stories to come from people working for the network, the Willis clan.
Willis was apprehended in Kentucky, where he fled in an attempt to evade arrest.
Before we get started, this is about the worst kind of worst person. Went after his own children, ended up being sentenced to 40 years in prison. If that's not something that you can handle today, that's totally fine. Scroll and I'll meet you at the next. The Willis family, often coined as
New Duggars, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, but hopefully without the scandal.
new Duggars, but hopefully without the scandal, and that just was not the case, because at the end of the day, too, the Duggars in this family have a very similar background, which is the Quiverfull, ATI, those sorts of teachings, and a little refresher on that one. This is the family structure you are expected to operate under, which I do have a question that always comes up. If this umbrella is working, why do we need two more? I don't usually roll with 3 umbrellas, just throwing that out there, because if I had to, that would mean the first umbrella is defective, and I need to figure that out. However, in this group system, you've got Bill Gothard, who was ousted, but he's still running around out there. You've got people like Mike and Debbie Pearl writing books. You've got Dr. Ed Wheat, who wrote the book that Josh Duggar was given on his wedding night. Whole lots of stuff like that. It is an entire group of people, ATI homeschooling, lots of stuff like that. Because men are put so much at the front of this, what the women need is very much an afterthought, if anything at all. They are expected to have as many babies as they possibly can and just put it in someone else's hands, this sort of thing. However, interesting side note, like with the Bates, once that was taken out of their hand by whatever they believed in, they decided to get progesterone and fertility treatments. So I guess it's just, you know, when you feel like it. If you want to learn more about that, I have a playlist, Tithing to TLC, and a lot of stuff about the Duggars, which goes really deeply into that. Fundy Fridays is one that I could not recommend enough if you want to know more about that. But to the Willis family. So the Willis family came to prominence on shows like America's Got Talent because the kids sing and play instruments, and they are genuinely very, very talented. However, the first time this family was in the news was way back in 1994.
Years ago, a fiery crash south of Milwaukee. 6 of 9 children in the Willis family was caused by a piece of metal that fell from a big rig driven by a man who paid a bribe to get his license.
That would have been the brothers and sisters of the man who was in jail for 40 years, and a huge credit, he says, to the way that he wanted to raise his family, the belief systems he would instill, and how he wanted to go forward in the future. When we come to the early thousands, to the mid-thousands, we're looking like 2010, somewhere in there, and they start getting notoriety because the kids are insanely talented, and there are so many of them because they've been covering the Quiverfull, as many as we can have sort of thing, so they end up having 12 children. Like quite a few families within this belief system, the Duggars come to mind, people who want us to follow their obviously broken moral compasses. They decide that, you know what we should do next? We got all these kids, we got all this stuff, they should support us. I mean, they are actually very, very talented. Unlike a lot of the ones that like push the kids on stage, the kids don't care about the instruments. Yes, you've been forcing them to practice, but if your heart's not in it, all that practice ain't gonna do nothing. But they were very, very talented, and this leads to them getting their show that starts on TLC in 2015. 2015 was a rough year for TLC. Every year's a rough year for TLC. Anyway.
Every family has a story, and this one is ours.
The show lasts for 2 seasons and then is quietly canceled, and TLC never really acknowledges that they've hired another person like that. Keep in mind, this is 2015, 2016. This is right when all the Josh Duggar stuff is going on, like the first set of it, then the second set comes around. Then you get all the way to the third set in 2019, all happening during a very similar time frame.
Willis was apprehended in Kentucky, where he fled in an attempt to evade arrest. He will be extradited to Tennessee's county jail, where he will be held without bond. Let's go to a quote. Willis and his wife Brenda, like Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar, are Quiverfull parents, adherents to a Christian dominionist sect that encourages married couples to produce as many offspring as possible in order to raise an army.
Toby Willis was arrested September 9th, 2016, after fleeing law enforcement to 2 separate states after the oldest daughter, Jessica Willis, came out and told her story about what had been happening to her by her father for the majority of her life, as well as him going after other sisters. Now, the silly question that people always ask in this situation is, why didn't you tell someone sooner, blah, blah, blah. Well, first of all, let me show you, if you told somebody in Quiverfull, what you're going to be told. It's a real worksheet from the Quiverfull /ATI / all of that stuff, right? And basically, if you came to someone and told this, they're going to ask you, what were you wearing? What did you do to deserve this? Look at how much stronger you're going to be now that this happened. And even there, advice, if they are not at fault, it is not a place that you would be able to report that sort of thing, and if you did, it would probably damage you more by being a part of the response, because they will protect that man. Imagine going on TV to posture to people about your morals when this is what you come from and what you believe. Not to mention, again, we go back to Josh Duggar with this, people probably knew. I mean, they knew about Josh Duggar. Oprah knew about Josh Duggar. It's just the story had to hit so they could get away with more. So it makes you question, how much did TLC know? After being in jail for a little while, Willis did plead guilty to 4 counts of going after his daughters and was sentenced to 2 25-year sentences and 2 40-year sentences. However, the judge, being so tough as judges are, ran all of those consecutively, and he will serve 40 years. He is currently in prison now and will be there for the majority of the rest of his life. In 2018, the children started speaking out about what had happened to them, about their father, but the oldest 6 decided to speak out and said that they will be there for their siblings, help them navigate their path while they heal out of the spotlight. In 2022, Jessica Willis, the oldest daughter, who was also the whistleblower, came out with her own book, Unspeakable: Surviving My Childhood and Finding Myself. Very good read. Couldn't recommend it enough. Although it is a tough read, it's great, especially if you're coming out of one of these groups. But even just her story as a survivor and some of the music she's made speaks to my soul a lot, so I imagine it would other people.
No one else will know what I could see. I'm a survivor, and you'll be my history.
The song is called History by Jessica Willis, and the line that she said was, "I am my survivor and you are just my history." And as a fellow CSA survivor, goosebumps and tears every time, but it was nice to see it put into words in that way. In 2025, they are still serving as inspiration to other people, healing, some publicly, some privately. There is no wrong or right choice on that one, and trying to have the best futures that they can. That is it for this one. I will see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a good day.